and industry and endeavored to shape the country's scientific capability. In the past decade, the pace has changed. With stronger direction and deeper investment, science has moved closer to the core of national progress under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister.
जब साइंस को स्केल मिलती है, जब इनोवेशन इंक्लूसिव बनती है और जब टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाती है, तो बड़ी उपलब्धियों की नींव मजबूत होती है, तैयार हो जाती है। पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में भारत की यात्रा इसी विजन का उदाहरण है। भारत अब टेक्नोलॉजी का कंज्यूमर नहीं, बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जरिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का पायोनियर बन चुका है।
The shift can be seen in how India now stands globally. More active, more engaged, more confident. One of the recent developments is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Brought into effect in 2024, it introduces a more coordinated approach to research, linking funding, institutions, and outcomes with greater clarity. The response has been wide-ranging, from early career researchers to large mission-led programs, reflecting both scale and interest across disciplines. What this creates is a system where ideas are supported, strengthened, and carried forward towards meaningful outcomes. Extending this continuum is the Research, Development and Innovation Scheme. With a long-term financial commitment, it focuses on building a stronger innovation ecosystem by encouraging private sector participation in research and development. By supporting scale, enabling partnerships, and easing the path to industry, it helps bridge a critical gap between research and real-world application. At the same time, India's engagement with emerging technologies is being shaped through focused national missions. The National Quantum Mission is building capabilities in quantum computing, communication, sensing, and advanced materials with dedicated thematic hubs across leading institutions, bringing together researchers, startups, and industry to drive next-generation innovation. The National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems is enabling innovation ecosystems in cyber-physical technologies with initiatives like Bharat Gen, shaping India's own multilingual and inclusive AI future. The National Supercomputing Mission, implemented with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is expanding high-performance computing infrastructure across the country to support advanced research at scale. Climate-focused missions, including the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, are strengthening India's scientific understanding and resilience. DST is strengthening research infrastructure across institutions in India through key programs helping institutes enhancing access to advanced facilities and enabling cutting-edge scientific research. Alongside this, initiatives such as Inspire and Inspire MoS are drawing young people into science early. In a recent episode of Man Ki Baat, the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted the Inspire MoS initiative, noting its role in nurturing a spirit of inquiry among students. Vice Kiran is increasing participation of women in science and technology, while also encouraging and supporting them to take up leadership roles. The department is also advancing geospatial capabilities through the National Geospatial Policy 2022. DST is promoting science and technology-led entrepreneurship through the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, NIDHI, which is now expanding into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Through community-focused programs, DST is strengthening livelihoods, enabling local innovation, and supporting emerging industries. At another level, policy frameworks, state initiatives, and data systems are guiding decisions, while strong standards ensure quality and reliability across scientific work. Much of this work now connects with a wider global effort, bilateral and multilateral collaborations, and participation in global mega-science projects. 56 years on, the department reflects a journey defined by steady progress, evolving with new technologies, expanding capabilities, and rising aspirations. What lies ahead builds on this foundation, where research, innovation, and application move forward together, shaping solutions for a changing world. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, science and technology will continue to power this journey, driving progress, strengthening self-reliance, and opening new possibilities for generations to come. In 1971, India took a step to place science and technology at the center of its development story. Over time, that step grew, linking laboratories, universities, and industry, and endeavored to shape the country's scientific capability. In the past decade, the pace has changed. With stronger direction and deeper investment, science has moved closer to the core of national progress under the leadership of the Hon'ble Prime Minister.
जब साइंस को स्केल मिलती है, जब इनोवेशन इंक्लूसिव बनती है और जब टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाती है, तो बड़ी उपलब्धियों की नींव मजबूत होती है, तैयार हो जाती है। पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में भारत की यात्रा इसी विजन का उदाहरण है। भारत अब टेक्नोलॉजी का कंज्यूमर नहीं, बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जरिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का पायोनियर बन चुका है।
The shift can be seen in how India now stands globally. More active, more engaged, more confident. One of the recent developments is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Brought into effect in 2024, it introduces a more coordinated approach to research, linking funding, institutions, and outcomes with greater clarity. The response has been wide-ranging, from early career researchers to large mission-led programs, reflecting both scale and interest across disciplines. What this creates is a system where ideas are supported, strengthened, and carried forward towards meaningful outcomes. Extending this continuum is the Research, Development and Innovation Scheme. With a long-term financial commitment, it focuses on building a stronger innovation ecosystem by encouraging private sector participation in research and development. By supporting scale, enabling partnerships, and easing the path to industry, it helps bridge a critical gap between research and real-world application. At the same time, India's engagement with emerging technologies is being shaped through focused national missions. The National Quantum Mission is building capabilities in quantum computing, communication, sensing, and advanced materials with dedicated thematic hubs across leading institutions, bringing together researchers, startups, and industry to drive next-generation innovation. The National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems is enabling innovation ecosystems in cyber-physical technologies with initiatives like Bharat Gen, shaping India's own multilingual and inclusive AI future. The National Supercomputing Mission, implemented with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is expanding high-performance computing infrastructure across the country to support advanced research at scale. Climate-focused missions, including the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, are strengthening India's scientific understanding and resilience. DST is strengthening research infrastructure across institutions in India through key programs helping institutes, enhancing access to advanced facilities, and enabling cutting-edge scientific research. Alongside this, initiatives such as Inspire and Inspire MoS are drawing young people into science early. In a recent episode of Man Ki Baat, the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted the Inspire MoS initiative, noting its role in nurturing a spirit of inquiry among students. Vice Kiran is increasing participation of women in science and technology, while also encouraging and supporting them to take up leadership roles. The department is also advancing geospatial capabilities through the National Geospatial Policy 2022. DST is promoting science and technology-led entrepreneurship through the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, NIDHI, which is now expanding into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Through community-focused programs, DST is strengthening livelihoods, enabling local innovation, and supporting emerging industries. At another level, policy frameworks, state initiatives, and data systems are guiding decisions, while strong standards ensure quality and reliability across scientific work. Much of this work now connects with a wider global effort, bilateral and multilateral collaborations, and participation in global mega-science projects. 56 years on, the department reflects a journey defined by steady progress, evolving with new technologies, expanding capabilities, and rising aspirations. What lies ahead builds on this foundation, where research, innovation, and application move forward together, shaping solutions for a changing world. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, science and technology will continue to power this journey, driving progress, strengthening self-reliance, and opening new possibilities for generations to come. In 1971, India took a step to place science and technology at the center of its development story. Over time, that step grew, linking laboratories, universities, and industry, and endeavored to shape the country's scientific capability. In the past decade, the pace has changed. With stronger direction and deeper investment, science has moved closer to the core of national progress under the leadership of the Hon'ble Prime Minister.
जब साइंस को स्केल मिलती है, जब इनोवेशन इंक्लूसिव बनती है और जब टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाती है, तो बड़ी उपलब्धियों की नींव मजबूत होती है, तैयार हो जाती है। पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में भारत की यात्रा इसी विजन का उदाहरण है। भारत अब टेक्नोलॉजी का कंज्यूमर नहीं, बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जरिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का पायोनियर बन चुका है।
The shift can be seen in how India now stands globally. More active, more engaged, more confident. One of the recent developments is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Brought into effect in 2024, it introduces a more coordinated approach to research, linking funding, institutions, and outcomes with greater clarity. The response has been wide-ranging, from early career researchers to large mission-led programs, reflecting both scale and interest across disciplines. What this creates is a system where ideas are supported, strengthened, and carried forward towards meaningful outcomes. Extending this continuum is the Research, Development, and Innovation Scheme. With a long-term financial commitment, it focuses on building a stronger innovation ecosystem by encouraging private sector participation in research and development. By supporting scale, enabling partnerships, and easing the path to industry, it helps bridge a critical gap between research and real-world application. At the same time, India's engagement with emerging technologies is being shaped through focused national missions. The National Quantum Mission is building capabilities in quantum computing, communication, sensing, and advanced materials with dedicated thematic hubs across leading institutions, bringing together researchers, startups, and industry to drive next-generation innovation. The National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems is enabling innovation ecosystems in cyber-physical technologies with initiatives like Bharat Gen, shaping India's own multilingual and inclusive AI future. The National Supercomputing Mission, implemented with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is expanding high-performance computing infrastructure across the country to support advanced research at scale. Climate-focused missions, including the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, are strengthening India's scientific understanding and resilience. DST is strengthening research infrastructure across institutions in India through key programs helping institutes enhancing access to advanced facilities and enabling cutting-edge scientific research. Alongside this, initiatives such as Inspire and Inspire MoS are drawing young people into science early. In a recent episode of Man Ki Baat, the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted the Inspire MoS initiative, noting its role in nurturing a spirit of inquiry among students. Vice Kiran is increasing participation of women in science and technology, while also encouraging and supporting them to take up leadership roles. The department is also advancing geospatial capabilities through the National Geospatial Policy 2022. DST is promoting science and technology-led entrepreneurship through the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, NIDHI, which is now expanding into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Through community-focused programs, DST is strengthening livelihoods, enabling local innovation, and supporting emerging industries. At another level, policy frameworks, state initiatives, and data systems are guiding decisions, while strong standards ensure quality and reliability across scientific work. Much of this work now connects with a wider global effort, bilateral and multilateral collaborations, and participation in global mega-science projects. 56 years on, the department reflects a journey defined by steady progress, evolving with new technologies, expanding capabilities, and rising aspirations. What lies ahead builds on this foundation, where research, innovation, and application move forward together, shaping solutions for a changing world. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, science and technology will continue to power this journey, driving progress, strengthening self-reliance,
नमस्कार। जैसा कि आप सभी को ज्ञात है कि आज हम भारत सरकार के विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग के 56वें स्थापना दिवस के पावन अवसर पर एकत्रित हुए हैं। यह हमारे लिए अत्यंत गौरव और हर्ष का विषय है। इस अवसर पर मैं चंदन सिंह अनुभाग अधिकारी, श्रीमती लिली पॉल अवर सचिव के साथ यहाँ पर उपस्थित सभी माननीय अतिथिगण, आदरणीय गणमान्यजन, प्रतिष्ठित वैज्ञानिकों, विद्वान शिक्षाविदों एवं मेरे प्रिय साथियों का विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग की ओर से इस गरिमामय अवसर पर हृदय से स्वागत एवं अभिनंदन करता हूँ। 3 मई 1971 को स्थापित यह विभाग निरंतर विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी के नवाचारों और नवीन क्षितिजों को विस्तार देने में अग्रणी रहा है। यह विभाग देश भर में विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी से जुड़ी गतिविधियों के सुव्यवस्थित संचालन, समन्वय तथा सशक्त संवर्धन हेतु एक प्रमुख नोडल एजेंसी के रूप में अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाता रहा है। सूत्रों में सिमटा ब्रह्मांड का ज्ञान, तकनीक से मिला नए युग का मान, हर खोज में छिपा उजाले का संदेश, विज्ञान बना प्रगति का सशक्त परिवेश।
Good morning to the August Assembly. Today, we celebrate over 5 decades of unwavering pursuit of scientific excellence, innovation, and nation building that the brilliant minds of this nation have undertaken. We are honored by the presence of eminent scientists, thought leaders, policy makers, and distinguished guests who inspire us with their vision and their achievements. This auspicious event will also be graced by the Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge for Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, who also holds important portfolios in the Prime Minister's Office, Department of Space, and Department of Atomic Energy. He will also be joined with the guest of our honor, Padma Shri Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. It is also our great privilege to have 2 eminent scientists with us specializing in microelectronics and photovoltaics and quantum information and computing. Please join me in welcoming Padma Shri Professor Jose Vasi, former Deputy Director and Professor Emeritus at the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and Professor Urvashi Sinha, Head of the Quantum Information and Computing Quick Laboratory at the Raman Research Institute. We extend a warm welcome to all our dignitaries and request them to kindly join us on the dais. Before we formally begin, we humbly request all the participants to kindly keep their mobile phones on silent. Thank you, sirs and ma'am. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam had famously quoted that once your mind stretches to a new level, it never goes back to its original dimension. To move forward, it is our honor to invite the Secretary, Departments of Science and Technology, Professor Abhay Karandikar, to deliver the welcome address and formally welcome everyone and inaugurate today's auspicious ceremony.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Professor Jitendra Singh, who was awarded Padma Shri this year. Professor Urvashi Sinha, my colleagues at the Department of Science and Technology, INSA, the directors of various autonomous institutions of the Department of Science and Technology. It is my great privilege to welcome you all on the 56th Foundation Day of the Department of Science and Technology, an institution that has emerged as one of the most important nodal agencies in the Government of India to transform the scientific ecosystem in the country. I would like to extend my warm greetings to my colleagues in the Department of Science and Technology, both present and former, and also the entire scientific fraternity on this important milestone. This moment reflects the central role that science and technology play in our country's development, driving the economic growth, strengthening the resilience and shaping the nation's future. Personally, for me, this moment is deeply meaningful. Coming from an academic ecosystem, from an IIT ecosystem, I've had the opportunity over the past almost close to 3 years to see how ideas evolve into policies, programs, and missions that can operate at the national level. Over the past 2.5 years of my tenure as DST, the ministry has strengthened every layer of the science and technology ecosystem with clear outcomes. I was privileged during my tenure to operationalize the most transformative initiatives of the Government of India, the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, the 1 lakh crore Research Development and Innovation Fund, and some very important national missions like National Quantum Mission. These initiatives are expected to bring a lasting impact on the scientific ecosystem, translational research, and also some of the new age technologies like quantum, AI in the coming years. DST has been launching several mission mode R&D programs in the past few years. In fact, the Department of Science and Technology is one of the important ministries in supporting the technology business incubator across academic institutions and universities. Through its flagship Nidhi program, we have supported large number of TBIs, inclusive technology business incubators, and have seeded the startup support programs in our premier universities. Apart from that, our fellowship programs for supporting PhD students and for attracting students to STEM discipline, the Inspire PhD fellowships, the Inspire faculty fellowships again has been, game changing. The DST has been also at the forefront for bringing for enhancing the participation of women in science technology, and in this context we have a very transformative programmatic interventions in the form of Vice Kiran. Science for Society remains central to our efforts, and through our programs which was initiated by SEED or our SNT councils in various states, it has brought a very ground level impact in the country. The DST's autonomous institutions also remain the backbone of scientific technologies programs, ANRF, RDI, Quantum Mission. We are poised to build an ecosystem that will not only have a national impact but will be globally competitive. As I reflect my time in DST, I do so with a deep sense of the foundations are strong, the direction is clear, and the opportunities ahead are immense. Ours is not just a department or a ministry, but it is indeed a driving force of national transformation. And I'm certain that with commitments that all of you have, the most impactful contributions are yet to come in the coming years. I extend my greetings to all of you on the 56th Foundation Day. and my best wishes to all of you as you continue to strengthen these institutions and contribute to the nation's progress. So thank you very much. Jai Hind.
2026 तक स्वच्छता पखवाड़ा मनाया जा रहा है। ऐसे प्रतिष्ठित समारोह में स्वच्छता शपथ लेना एक अति उत्तम अवसर रहेगा। अतः मैं सचिव महोदय से विनम्र निवेदन करता हूं कि वे यहां पर उपस्थित सभी गणमान्यों को स्वच्छता की शपथ दिलाएं।
So I will read this and I will ask all of you to repeat this. First in Hindi and then in English. स्वच्छता शपथ। महात्मा गांधी ने जिस भारत का सपना देखा था, रहूंगा और उसके लिए समय दूंगा। हर वर्ष 100 घंटे यानी हर सप्ताह 2 घंटे श्रमदान करके स्वच्छता के इस संकल्प को चरितार्थ करूंगा। मैं न गंदगी करूंगा, मिशन का प्रचार करूंगा। मैं जो आज शपथ ले रहा हूं वो अन्य 100 व्यक्तियों से भी करवाऊंगा। वे भी मेरी तरह स्वच्छता के लिए 100 घंटे दे, इसके लिए प्रयास करूंगा। मुझे मालूम है कि स्वच्छता की तरफ बढ़ाया गया मेरा एक कदम पूरे भारत देश को स्वच्छ बनाने में मदद करेगा। So let me do this in English now. Mahatma Gandhi dreamt of an India which was not only free but also clean and developed. Mahatma Gandhi secured freedom for Mother India. Now it is our duty to serve Mother India by keeping the country neat and clean. I take this pledge that I will remain committed towards cleanliness and devote time for this. I will devote 100 hours per year, that is 2 hours per week, to voluntarily work for cleanliness. I will neither litter nor let others litter. I will initiate the quest for cleanliness with myself, my family, my locality, my village, and my workplace. I believe that the countries of the world that appear clean are so because their citizens don't indulge in littering, nor do they allow it to happen. With this firm belief, I will propagate the message of Swachh Bharat mission in villages and towns. I will encourage 100 other persons to take this pledge which I am taking today. I will endeavor to make them devote their 100 hours for cleanliness. I am confident that every step I take towards cleanliness will help in making my country clean. Thank you.
धन्यवाद सचिव महोदय। शपथ तब सार्थक होगी जब हमारा संकल्प धरातल पर स्वच्छता बनकर चमकेगा। अतः आप सभी से अनुरोध है कि शपथ के साथ साथ कदम भी उठाएं और स्वच्छता को महज रस्म अदायगी नहीं करें, एक संस्कार भी बनाएं। जहां प्रश्न जन्म लेते हैं वहीं विज्ञान अपने उत्तरों के साथ भविष्य रचता है। विज्ञान की दुनिया में विचारों की गति ही प्रगति की दिशा तय करती है। ऐसे ही प्रेरणादायक विचारों के साथ यह हमारा सौभाग्य है कि आज हमारे बीच प्रतिष्ठित वैज्ञानिक एवं क्वांटम विज्ञान की अग्रणीय विशेषज्ञ प्रोफेसर उर्वशी सिन्हा का हम की नोट संबोधन के लिए हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं। प्रोफेसर उर्वशी सिन्हा एक प्रतिष्ठित वैज्ञानिक हैं जो रामन रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट में क्वांटम इंफॉर्मेशन एंड कंप्यूटिंग क्विक लैबोरेटरी का नेतृत्व करती हैं। यह प्रयोगशाला भारत में उन अग्रणी समूहों में से एक है जो क्वांटम विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकियों में विभिन्न अनुप्रयोगों हेतु एंटेंगल्ड एंड हेराल्डेड सिंगल फोटोन स्रोतों के साथ कार्य कर रही हैं। इस प्रयोगशाला की भारतीय अंतरिक्ष अनुसंधान संगठन इसरो के साथ एक प्रमुख सहयोगात्मक परियोजना क्वांटम एक्सपेरिमेंट्स यूजिंग सैटेलाइट टेक्नोलॉजी क्वेस्ट है, जो भारत में उपग्रह आधारित क्वांटम संचार प्रणालियों के विकास की दिशा में एक महत्वपूर्ण पहल है। अब मैं प्रोफेसर सिन्हा को आमंत्रित करता हूं कि वे अपने विचारों से हमें ज्ञानवर्धित करें। उनका विषय रहेगा फ्रॉम प्रूफ टू ट्रस्ट टू कैपेबिलिटी, द लॉन्ग गेम ऑफ इंडियन साइंस। प्रोफेसर सिन्हा।
किसी को उधर से चेंज करना होगा ना? पॉइंटर कुछ है क्या? नहीं है। Good morning, everyone. It's a huge privilege and honor for me to present this keynote lecture on this momentous occasion of the 56th Foundation Day of the Department of Science and Technology. Respected Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary DST, and other colleagues and dignitaries who are now off the dais. I was going to say on and off the dais, but you just went off the dais. We are in a superposition of on and off the dais. So, and of course, Dr. Dhanalakshmi, specifically for inviting me to present this lecture. So first of all, congratulations to the Department of Science and Technology, Professor Karandikar, and the whole DST family on this momentous occasion. It is indeed a cause for celebration. So with that, I present to you a talk which is, of course, on Foundation Day. So usually when you think about Foundation Day, you think of looking back, right? What have we achieved so far? And of course, we as in, I would say, the DST and the whole family. And that is, of course, a good thought process. But what I thought is that, I'll do something slightly different. I will actually pose a more forward-looking question. What can we do, to turn a scientific idea into a national capability? And so this is something then which sort of forms the seed for the next few decades of Indian science. And as you can see, of course, it was rightly mentioned that I work in the domain of quantum science and technology, but I would use quantum as a lens, to look at this question, okay? And essentially, it is just going to be used as an example. But the bigger question is, how do we play the long game of Indian science? And the answer to that will be following this arc, which I say proof to trust to capability. And so this is going to be the focus of my talk today. Well, we are talking about Foundation Day. So I thought, it's a very nice thing that, Foundation is playing a very dual role in my talk today. It's, of course, on Foundation Day. And it is important for us to remember what are the foundations on the basis of which we can actually have this long game of Indian science, okay? And so we are, of course, myself now guilty, speeches above ground, and so on and so forth. But the real work is actually beneath that, right? And so these are the 6 pillars on which I believe the whole science and technology ecosystem lies. And this needs to be very strong for us to think about the next 50 years. So first of all, it's the people, yes? So it's the people who make science. So we have very beautiful instruments. If we stare at them and do nothing with them, then it's not going to give us the results. So people, very important. Institutions, of course, very nicely mentioned about the Autonomous Institute under DST. I myself belong to one. But there are many, many more institutions which the DST is supporting through its varied programs, right? Infrastructure, very important. It's not just about, equipment for one experiment. It is something which forms the basis for many more things to come, and that is important, equally important. Then comes trust, okay? So we need to trust our pointer and our scientists. Yes, so we need to trust our scientists that, sometimes we work very hard. I mean, this is something which we have to accept, but sometimes things may take a little longer than what we were anticipating. So have faith that, it will actually lead to something as we go forward. So patience, I would say, is a key, and then, of course, long-term support. It's not just about funding for one project or two projects. It's about the long-term sustained funding, which is going to give us this, the long game of Indian science. So this is how I wanted to, play up the word foundation by actually reminding us of the foundations, which are very important going forward. So the 50-year lens, I know that the Foundation Day lecture will be given by Professor Juzair Wasi right after this, and he's going to talk about a very mature story on solar PV, which has seen the 50-year journey, and we'll, I'm sure we'll be thrilled to hear about that. But what I wanted to point out is another story which is emerging, which is the quantum story, okay? This is the story that is now being written. It is, of course, much less mature, but this is something to look forward to, right? Science, devices, and standards. So this is essentially the difference between something which is already very mature and something which is now being written. And I firmly believe that the next 10 years will tell us whether we will actually be consumers, whether we will be collaborators, or whether we will be creators of quantum technology. And that is what we need to sit back and think, what is it that we want to be? And in fact, I'm sure the answer is the third one. Ultimately, we want to be the creators of the technology and not just consumers. So this is the thesis for my talk. This is the sequence. I'm a scientist, so I have to have a thesis. And this is going to be the main agenda. I will walk you through this arc. Okay, so first of all, the proof. Very important. Does the physics work? Does the science beneath what I'm saying actually work? It's very important to question that. Then we go on to trust. Okay, can the output be certified? Now that I have trusted the science, can it be certified? And finally, can it become national capability? Can it be deployed? Can it be made into products? Can it become national infrastructure? So this is the journey from proof to trust to capability. Okay, this is the sequence for the talk. Now, what is capability? Okay, capability is a system. No single element is sufficient, right? All of these elements must move together. So we know that it's people, training, patience, infrastructure, institutions, missions, standards, translation, together they form national capability. And here I see the DST again playing a very crucial role by actually bringing together the ecosystem and funding different aspects of it and supporting different aspects, not just one or the other. And so this is something I believe will play a very important role in the long run to realize that it's not just about isolated brilliance, it's about things coming together. Yeah. So now going on to, of course, my favorite subject, which is what I want to use as a lens to tell you, impress upon you this arc of proof to trust to capability, quantum. Right? Now, quantum is something which has become a bit of a buzzword, but it's not magic. Okay, it is not going to solve all our problems, and that is something we know. Having said that, it is having ramifications in domains of computing, communications, and sensing, which actually is already starting to show effects in all these sectors, okay? Whether it is the communication sector, with the unprecedented security, whether it's the health sector, energy sector, transportation, finance, agriculture, space applications, and defense. So these are all areas which are, of course, the ones which matter for Viksit Bharat 2047, and quantum is poised to play a very significant role in revolutionizing many of these with time. It's not today per se necessarily, many things will happen with time. But then, like many other things, quantum is suffering from two indignities right now. First of all, it is a difficult subject, okay? And secondly, it is finding itself on every brochure, right? And so this is something which was found yesterday, okay? And so this is something we need to live with, right? I mean, this is currently the situation that we are in a bit of a hype cycle with quantum, but then if we have to play the long game, we have to exactly do what Professor Karandikar is doing, smile our way through it, survive it, and then contribute to the long game. We can't get frustrated and give up, right? And so this is essentially the long game that quantum needs to play. Okay, and with that, of course, I come to National Quantum Mission, which has already been referred to many times already before my own talk itself, and that is because this is a brilliant example of India choosing the long game, right? It's not about this amount which is something which gets talked about a lot, but it's about the timing, okay? The timing at which this support has been shown. Now, we have very well-defined mission deliverables in computing, communication, sensing, metrology, materials, and devices. But what is very important is that, the timing with which this mission has been announced and it is now going on and it's getting funded is before, the urgency becomes dependency. We don't want to wait for quantum to become unavoidable. Now, I can't help making this, this joke here that quantum is hard, okay? So we might have said, okay, let's wait for it to become easy and then we are going to fund it. But it's never going to become easy, and then we would miss the boat. So the fact that this timing was chosen, and it's of course helmed by the Department of Science and Technology, I think that is what makes National Quantum Mission what it is. It's a game changer because we didn't wait for things to mature and then invest. So we are going to not just contribute to a mature ecosystem, we are going to actually form it, right? And so this is what I feel is special about NQM. Of course, there is a there are lots of things which have happened under NQM. Some of you must already know this. For those who don't, we have 4 technology hubs which are already functioning very well, 14 technical groups, several project teams, institutions, researchers, and this is the map of India with all the institutes which are already contributing to it. And this map actually changed last month with the second lot of funding that was given for the algorithms, okay? And so these numbers basically doubled already. And so we need to change this slide, Dr. Reddy, so that the next time we can show the new slide. Okay, this is of course borrowed from the head of NQM, Dr. G.B. Reddy. And so this is, but this just tells you that, it's already buzzing. It's not a future thing, yeah? And RRI is playing a very important role in this, both in the quantum communications and quantum computing T-Hub ecosystems. So what is also very encouraging is this early evidence of motion. Okay, and so this indigenous stack that is beginning to take shape. Just look at this. This is components, platforms, and networks. It's not just one or the other. Okay, components, wafers, lasers, detectors, platforms like computing platforms, imaging platforms, networks, of course, repeater networks, long-distance communications. So all this is already happening. And why is this important? Because you see, hardware and components, they represent sovereignty, right? This is what we need. We don't want to keep on importing things. And this, we want to remember now the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission, right? So that is what we are contributing to already. And so in future, we will become a self-sufficient ecosystem. And so this is already being much encouraged under NQM. And so this is very heartening. So having said that, as I said, I'll take you through this arc with an example. The idea is not, it's not a CV or it's not a list of achievements, but I wanted to take you through this journey of proof to trust to capability with a view from one Indian photonic quantum journey so that it becomes a bit real for you because, otherwise it's lots of things, lots of projects, but then just to tell you how this moves with one example, okay? And so this is when the lab started in 2012. We started with asking very fundamental questions. And when we answered some of them, we said, okay, now can we use this towards making the next generation devices, certified devices? And then now we are talking about longer links, NQM repeater network. So this is the journey which I will, give you with a small example journey. So now, of course, for me, photons, okay, photons are actually particles of light, okay? They could be single, they could be entangled, and this is what forms the crux of the, infrastructure that we use for our journey. So they cover fundamentals, devices, field deployment, everything. In fact, for the physicists in the audience, I will again crack a nerdy joke, okay? So photons are very hardworking, but they don't have any rest mass. So just think about it, such hardworking particles which don't have rest mass. So this is what is our workhorse over the last 14 years. And coming to quantum communications, of course, that is the area where I have, our work has been very prominent. this layer, you know, this is the full stack of quantum communications. Maybe something that gets missed in some of these discussions. The first one is much talked about, yeah, whether it's fiber, free space, satellite, and so on. That's the transport layer. But then comes the trust layer. How much do we trust what it is that we are transporting? Do we really believe that this is actually happening? You know, the randomness that is used as a seed for this transportation, how random is it? So this trust layer is absolutely important, because otherwise we're not going to go very far. Interoperability, are we actually talking to solid state devices as well? Photon to solid state and back, very crucial problem to solve. Capacity, can we increase the capacity of these layers? So essentially these are the ones which form the, you know, the bedrock for the entire stack of quantum communications. And so I would like to say that distance without trust is very expensive optimism. So if we just focus on increasing the distance indiscriminately, that's not going to be good. We also need to ensure that it is trustworthy, what we are doing. Trust as in physics certified trust, not just our human nature kind of trust. So with that, the first thing that we want to discuss is proof, okay? I mean, I think in the first few slides, I have been able to motivate that, you know, there's a lot of excitement. We have devices, we have products, we have national level aspiration, right? But while we have all that, we need to step back as scientists. You know, we tend to be self-critical and critical in general, okay? And so this is something that comes in as a virtue in this thing, that we question, you know, is the physics really doing what we claim it is doing? That is a very important question. And so if we answer that well, only then the rest of it would make sense, right? So this is the proof layer that becomes very important. And here I would like to, you know, give you an example of something which perhaps you don't come across every day, a concept called a loophole, okay? So a loophole is actually a legal term. And so I will, of course, have the audacity of picking on the Secretary DST, Professor Abhay Karandikar, as the person who is actually in a court of law fighting a case with me. So there are two lawyers, one is me and one is him, and we are actually arguing against each other. Only in this forum I can afford to do this, so might as well take the opportunity. So we are arguing. So I come up with a set of arguments. He comes up with a set of counter arguments. What do we actually do? We find loopholes in each other's arguments and keep, you know, fighting the case. So ultimately one of us wins. So I will take the liberty of winning because I'm giving the talk, and so only opportunity again to do this, because I have come up with a set of arguments which is flawless, right? Which has no loophole. So this is how we do things in a court of law. And this is very nice. So loophole-free argument. But what is it to do with quantum or anything to do with physics? It's a very important concept. So now think about an experiment on the basis of which your security is based, okay? Now that experiment claims that it is doing something. But suppose nature hires a very good lawyer and comes and says, no, I don't think this is the reason why this is happening. There is an alternative explanation. So these alternative explanations will kill the argument, okay? And so we cannot afford to have that. So we need something to be loophole free, as in, you know, flawless, right? Because that is what will turn a compelling result into a definitive one, okay? So loophole free is like the gold standard of, you know, these experiments, because then no eavesdropper can come and use that loophole and perform an attack, which is what we want if we want ultimate security. So loophole free has a very important place in our technology. And so that brings us to this proof result where, you know, our lab at RRI was the first lab in the world to perform a loophole free test of what are called the Leggett-Garg inequalities. Now this is not the forum where I want to express things in equations and details, because I don't want to do that in a foundation day lecture. But what it just tells you is that, you know, these inequalities, if you violate them, you actually prove the underlying theory is absolutely sacrosanct, and you've disproved what is called realism. And so over decades, several labs across the world have tried to close these loopholes. It is as important as that. And ours was the first one which actually closed the clumsiness loophole, detection efficiency loophole, coincidence loophole, multi-photon emission loophole, and preparation. These are the 5 main loopholes that plague these experiments, all of them together for the first time. This was a beautiful result, and it was published in PRX Quantum, a very important forum. Here I would like to make a case that, you know, when we are talking about this proof stage, it is important that the result is validated. by the peer review community, because it's not just about you and me saying that okay, something is behaving the way it is. The rest of the community also has to agree. So peer review has an importance here, and of course the forum being this prestigious is of course very nice. And for those of you who read science magazines, you may know New Scientist, which actually called us the most watertight experiment of all time. So this is actually the proof lab. Okay, very nice. We now go on to trust. So what is trust? So trust is when proof becomes certification. So okay, underlying science is fine, but then now comes the question, can I use this, can this output be certified? This is the question we want to ask next, now that we believe the physics, okay? And this is where we come up with this concept of random numbers. Okay. Now random numbers, I think all of you in the room must be using them in some form or the other, because they are used as a seed for different kinds of modeling. Whether you talk about finance modeling, whether you talk about simulating the weather, the stock market, and in our case, of course, security, right? So if you want something to be secure, cryptographically secure, the random seed is very important. The quality of the seed actually plays a very crucial role in the quality of the security that follows. So modern security runs on unpredictable bits, okay? So we build global security on randomness, and then we ask this question, was this randomness actually random? I mean, it's sensible? It's late. We have spent several decades in believing these random numbers, but only a decade or so ago, the community asked, do we trust whether this, what is the certification for this? What does that mean? What do I mean by certification here? I give Dr. Dhanalakshmi a set of random bits, and she does some statistical test and proves it's random. Then I come and copy it on a USB stick and become a source of randomness. How do you know who's the real one? There is no certification involved in all the random number generators that exist so far, including the quantum random number generators, which have a lot of prominence these days. And that is what brings us to this experiment, where we use that loophole-free architecture that I told you, and the violation of this inequality to give you certified randomness from such a violation, again for the first time. And this is a beautiful result, not because of the numbers that we have, that was not the aim. It was published in Physical Review Letters, which is again a very important forum, but the beauty is that we have been able to take a foundational physics experiment and take it to the next level of a certified device. Okay? So this was the next layer, right? Now we have the solutions. Okay? So this is the experiment. We have generated these random numbers, and we have now also co-founded a startup, QSyn Technologies, which is taking it to the next level through Q-Range, which is going to be a first-in-the-world kind of random number generator, which is towards device-independent randomness. The same arc has been followed for other technologies which have emerged from the lab as well. And so this is basically the story which brings us to capability. So fine, we have done the proof, we have done the trust, but what about capability? Capability is when science survives the real world. Now, what does that mean? The real world is not a lab bench. It's not an optical bench in the lab. Now, real world is pretty harsh. Okay? It's very rude to quantum links. We have all these issues, right? Loss, turbulence, background. Something is moving, you need to point and track it. Drift, finite size. So these are all issues which plague the real world. So you see, nature does not read our project proposals, but nature can be a very strong referee with very harsh comments and criticism. So it can basically kill our experiments very easily. So things are working beautifully in the lab, but you take it out, it doesn't. So then you need deployment, you need field trials, right? So this is what brings about capability. And again, an arc that we follow. So this is, very nice, beautiful experiment on a bench in Hararai, where we have done protocols and photons and entanglement-based QKD and so on. But early 2021, we actually did free space QKD using entanglement between two buildings. So we actually dealt with atmosphere, we dealt with alignment through atmosphere, and this was India's first such demonstration. In early 23, we took it a step ahead, okay? And so we made a vehicle in the RRI workshop actually, and so all the optics, optomechanics, all that was in there, and we learned how to track this vehicle. So the vehicle is moving, we are tracking it, pointing towards it, and still doing entanglement-based QKD. So this is taking us, each step is adding a new class of engineering reality. Next step would be to talk to something even further, which is moving, say a satellite, ship-to-shore communications and all these things, right? So this is an example of field deployment. So under National Quantum Mission, we are going we are attacking the next challenge. Okay, so from links to networks, it's not just a longer link. Okay, it's a trusted network. So what does that mean? It's not just about increasing the length from node to node to node. That is being done under NQM as well. But what we have decided to do is the harder problem. We are going to do entanglement distribution based network. And so that's not straightforward. Why? Because, okay, we are communicating with each other, but suppose my photon reaches you a little later than Professor Abhay's photon, then you're not going to talk to each other. So you need some solid state device to store the state of the photon. That's called a quantum memory. So we will build quantum memories. We are building quantum memories, entanglement swapping, relay, finally quantum repeater. So this is definitely one of the hardest problems in NQM. But as I say, we have only one life. At least that's what we know of. I won't get into philosophy here, so might as well work on a hard problem and hope to succeed. And so that is why this is what we are doing. And this is the multi-node quantum repeater network for entanglement distribution-based quantum communication. And this is, we are leading this project. But then, a quantum repeater is something that is not very well known to people. It's not one instrument, okay? It's a stack. It consists of a lot of hardcore theory and simulation to inform what is the right physical system to choose. Then it involves all these physical systems, vacancies in diamond, cold atoms, EIT, DLCZ. So this is all going to come together, and now we have to hold our breath because all these things have to work at the same time in a synchronous manner at RRI, and we are going to show a hybrid synchronous quantum repeater network. And if we are able to do that in real time, then it would be a global first, because such a synchronized network with so many different kinds of platforms has not quite been attempted before. So let us see how far we go. If we do succeed, then I'm sure I will speak to you again in one of the foundation days. So this is, of course, the quantum arc that I chose to take. But let us go back to the bigger picture of Indian science, because that was just an example of how to go from one step to the other. But what should we build next as a country? Again, coming back to the foundations. 5 practical foundations built together, not as decorative subcommittees, but all coming together towards one goal. Standards, right? Certified trust, test beds, because we need to meet with the real world. We can't just be in silos inside the lab. Devices which build the stack. Talent is very important, of course, because we need to hold on to those people. We need to incentivize them to contribute to Indian science and not get lured away by several other things that they do. And so grow operators and builders and then translate, right? So it's not just about announcing foundations. Have a very strong foundations which can carry the weight of the building, which is, the long arc of Indian science. And as I keep saying, my focus is that capabilities are built by people. This may seem like a team slide, which actually it is. These are the various people who are currently. But then students, engineers, technicians, theorists, experimentalists, startups, institutions together come to build even our own little ecosystem at our lab. So I actually want to take this opportunity to thank various members who have contributed earlier and who are contributing now. RRI, DST, NQM, MIT, ISRO, Templeton Foundation, CERC, all those who have found something in us to support us, in our journey, and also have had the patience to wait sometimes for that revolutionary result to emerge, which may not always happen in a strict 3-monthly timeline. And I want to remind us that behind every clean result is alignment, debugging, procurement, rejected papers, and heroic amounts of coffee. So this is something that all of us are swearing by in our lab. So, with that, I just want to, conclude by reminding us of the main takeaways from the talk. I think, Indian science is at an absolutely fantastic phase right now. And a lot of it has to do, I'm not going to keep praising DST just because it's Foundation Day, but it is true that it has played a very leading role in, enabling science and technology beyond single projects, but towards ecosystem building. And solar PV, we are going to hear about next, is what a mature 50-year journey can become, and we will see that. But quantum actually reminds us that some 50-year journeys are beginning now, okay? And now, as in for the last few years, let's put it this way, and the thesis would be to have strong faith in the proof. Believe it, criticize it, believe it, criticize it, and then believe, because otherwise these things will not happen. And then, of course, trust and then capability. And so let us build foundations so well that the future mistakes them for inevitability. So with that, I thank you for your attention. So should I come down then, because the next, yeah.
Professor. Thank you, Professor Sinha, for such an insightful and engaging lecture. We really enjoyed it. As Albert Einstein once said, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. And with that spirit, we now move forward to the Foundation Day lecture by Padma Shri Professor Joseph Vasi. Professor Vasi, the former Deputy Director at IIT Bombay, is a distinguished academician. He has been conferred the Padma Shri in recognition of his extraordinary lifetime contribution to science and engineering. A widely respected name in the field of semiconductors and microelectronics, Professor Vasi continues to inspire many as Professor Emeritus. I now request Professor Joseph Vasi to please come on the stage and enlighten us with his thoughts on the 50 years of solar PV in India, achievements and challenges ahead. Sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and privilege for me to be here. Congratulations on the 56th Foundation Day event to DST, and of course my greetings to all of you here. I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about, getting a bit of an echo I think, opportunity to talk about 50 years of solar PV in India. And as Professor Sinha mentioned, quantum's looking ahead. Solar has completed 50 years and has done really wonders. But also I would add at this point itself, there's still a lot of things to be done. So I'll touch a little bit on that as well. Here's the outline of my talk. I'll go through it rather quickly because there are many points, but basically what I want to do is to give a broad overview of what's been happening, of course globally, but mainly in India, and also look at some of the challenges ahead. I think that's the future which we have to look at and really be able to tackle. Looking quickly at the history, after the oil crisis in actually 73, India started work on solar energy, and in fact DST, then a young organization, played an important role in that also. And in 1976 really is when the Central Electronics Limited was set up. So that's why I'm saying that we are now 50 years of solar in India. Also, we established, besides the DST which was contributing, we established essentially the forerunner of MNRE. So in the early years, of course, the main reason to have solar energy was really to reach out to rural and remote areas. And I'm showing some of these pictures here. Here are some interesting examples of deployments. Remote areas, for example, in Ladakh. Rural communities, solar pumping, of course, was one of those applications, but also street lighting and so on, and also deployment for technology, some of which I have shown here again. Very interesting is the fact that not only did India start deploying solar panels, but actually started manufacturing them. This is not very well known, but actually going back again 50 years, 49 years or so, we've been making solar cells and solar panels. So just for example, I'm showing you here an early solar module which generated all of 33 watts, which was quite good in those years. Of course, today we are looking at solar modules which generate 600 to 700 watts each. Besides CEL, several other companies also started manufacturing in India, and two examples are Tata BP Solar, which was of course Tata plus BP Solar, and Bharat Heavy Electronics Limited, Heavy Electricals Limited. And very interesting is that Tata BP Solar actually was exporting solar modules various all over the world. In particular, that includes China. So some of China's first solar modules actually came from India, fabricated at Tata BP. Many other companies, of course, also started manufacturing in the 2000s. Just an example here is this huge solar panel which was made at Mozambique. But subsequently, because of imports from China, many of these companies, really had problems. But fortunately, there has been a great resurgence, and I'll touch upon that briefly. I'm talking about solar manufacturing because as we move ahead, manufacturing is going to be very important, of course, globally, but especially for us in India. I don't again want to go into the physics of solar energy, but it's really one of the very simple, again, photons play an important role here. So solar photons which come in generate whole electron pairs which are separated out and then flow as a current in the external circuit. What I'll quickly point out though is that a state-of-the-art module generates 600 to 700 watts, fairly high efficiencies, and this is interesting because we are actually reaching the limit of efficiency for a single junction solar cell. The other interesting thing is that the life of the module, because it's so well packaged, is 25 years out in the harsh environment, especially harsh in India. I'll just mention quickly India's National Solar Mission. Not quickly, actually, we will really spend time on this. This was launched in 2010 with what looked at that time to be really a very ambitious target of 22 gigawatts by 2022. But in 2015, this was upped to 100 gigawatts. And that seemed also quite ambitious, and in fact was very ambitious. We did pretty well because by the end of 2022, we did reach 63 out of the 100 gigawatts. A lot of this was utility scale power plants, very large power plants. Subsequently, in 2021, it was announced that announced at COP26 that 50% of our expected energy by 2030 will come from solar. Just to mention what we have reached so far, out of our total installed capacity of 533 gigawatts today, solar is really a very good fraction, 150 gigawatts. More than a quarter of the capacity today is solar. And actually already today we have about more than 280 gigawatts coming from non-fossil fuel sources, that is renewables plus nuclear. What it really tells us is that we are well on our way to reach our 50% commitment, and I'm sure actually by the time we reach 2030 we will have significantly more than 50%. Also interestingly, if I look at what's the addition, for example, in the last financial year, out of 58 gigawatts total capacity which was installed, only 2 gigawatts was thermal. So our thermal installations are going down and renewables going up. Solar, of course, is the most important. And the reason is simple. Actually, solar is easy to do. quick to install, and actually on the LCOE basis, it's really the cheapest form of energy today for India and globally. So this shows the same thing really as pie charts. So the first one, of course, is the capacity breakup. You can see that thermal is still large, but solar is increasing and more than 25% today. But if I look at just the additions, you can see that solar is really a very big amount. Thermal is quite small. This is good news for us as we move forward, but it has various implications which we must also look at later. India was second globally for PV deployments in 2025, and we are third now in terms of total cumulative capacity, which is again very, very interesting and important because, you know, we started late, much later than many of the other countries. Well, I won't say that, of course. I'm saying that we started 50 years ago, but our large-scale deployments really started in only about 2010, and we've already reached third position. And that's seen here, although we started 50 years ago, and of course we must commemorate this 50-year event. But we've been growing exponentially starting really around 2010 when we launched the National Solar Mission. But I do believe that we were able to achieve this rapid exponential growth because we've had the expertise and the understanding available in India over many years, many decades. Incidentally, I'll just briefly mention through this graph the predictions of global solar capacity going up to 2050 or 2060, and we have just crossed 3 terawatts. You know, for many years the 1 terawatt was a benchmark which seemed very difficult globally, of course, to achieve. We crossed 3 terawatts in December, but it's being predicted that it will reach 75 terawatts. Solar will reach 75 terawatts by 2050. In other words, the transition taking place, energy transition taking place globally is going to put more and more solar capability all over the world. So 75 terawatts, of course, is going to be a huge number, and we'll see what are the problems with that. Of course, the reason we are growing so rapidly, the PV, so-called PV learning curve, in other words, how does the price change as the cumulative capacity, the cumulative module shipments increase, it's been dropping rapidly, and today cost of a solar module is coming in, well, it of course varies depending on the type of module and so on, but say about 15 US cents per watt. I'm quoting in US cents. But if I look at the solar energy, not the capacity, but the energy, on this LCOE basis, the cost today is coming to somewhere around 2 rupees and 52 paisa to 3 rupees per unit, which again is actually very low, and in many countries of the world it's really the lowest, the cheapest source of electricity. Look at some of the things we've been able to do. Deployment of solar. Utility scale, we've done very well. Very large solar plants have come up. In fact, you can see here that out of the 150 gigawatts we currently have, a lot of it is large utility scale power plants. But our rooftop is not moving that rapidly, and the reason is quite simple. Rooftops are small, and it's, you know, you have to really go to millions of rooftops before you can get large capacities. And there are several reasons why, you know, this is happening, although of course we know that the new schemes which have been introduced is going to try and push that up rapidly, but this is going to be important for us. So overall we have done very well in deployments. But coming to manufacturing, in mid-22 India had only about 5 gigawatts per year of cell manufacturing and 25 gigawatts per year of module manufacturing. So these were relatively small numbers, but also I must mention that even out of these numbers, a lot of it was quite outdated and really not state of the art. Most of our deployments took place really using China manufactured solar components, and actually globally today China dominates this. So we're talking about 90 to 95% almost of all solar components coming from China. So to ensure energy security and of course also avoid supply chain disruptions, the government has announced a series of policy measures which incentivize solar manufacturing. Some of these are shown up here. Several of them, the performance linked incentive, basic customs duty which was imposed, the so-called approved list of models and manufacturers, requirement for domestic content for some of the projects. Also very recently, last year, anti-dumping duty was imposed on some companies. So all of these incentives and disincentives definitely has had an effect, and we can see here that through all of these incentives as of March of this year, we today have about 170 gigawatts per year of module manufacturing capacity, but the cell capacity, and that's because cell lines take longer to set up than module lines, is only at about 27 gigawatts. But look at the forecasts for 28 and 30. You can see that we will be in excess of 200 and actually approaching about 300 gigawatts per year of module making capacity, and over 100 and maybe going up to 170 gigawatts per year of cell manufacturing capacity. The reason I want to stress this is that our internal requirements are only going to be about 30 to 50 gigawatts per year. What are we going to do with all of this excess capacity? Of course, one way to look at it is that some of these companies which are not very efficient will drop out, and maybe we will not actually have so much. But rather what I feel is going to happen is that the Indian manufacturing will emerge as a major exporter, and we will actually be exporting solar components to the rest of the world as their appetite for solar also increases. And as I see it, we'll have a potential of maybe as large as about 200 gigawatts per year for export by 2030. This is very interesting, and I think that's the looking forward, and perhaps looking forward even further. Really, this is what we must focus on in India to become a major, not only country deploying solar and using solar, but also exporting it to the rest of the world. But there are several challenges before we can do that. Firstly, what are the challenges for deployment in India? Land availability is becoming a problem, and this is something which we have to look at. And people have been looking at floating solar, agrivoltaics, where you use land not only for agriculture but simultaneously for generating solar energy. Both of these can be quite important for India. Of course, we must look at some areas like Ladakh, by the way, is an excellent place for solar energy, but of course, we have to have the link from Ladakh into the northern grid. Talking about grid, actually, the enhancement of grid and transmission lines is a major issue which we will have to tackle. Just for example, even today we do have a severe curtailment of solar power being generated. For example, in Rajasthan, you don't have good enough transmission capacity to evacuate that power. Of course, I had showed you this very nice picture where the solar capacity is increasing, thermal is decreasing, but that's the capacity. But remembering that, of course, solar actually generates power only for 7 to 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours a day. The energy today, the energy generation in Feb of this year, for example, you can see is still 3/4 coming from thermal, and our solar is only generating about 11 gigawatts. So that's going to constrain us. How do we really move on beyond that? And one of the ways really is we have to look at storage. So not only generate through solar, but store some of this energy for late evening and possibly even overnight use. And this is increasingly starting to happen. So besides the solar story, there is actually the parallel storage story which must move ahead. And of course, DST is playing an important role in the storage part as well. So how to store the energy, how to store the solar energy which is generated? Well, one obvious way, of course, is battery storage, and that is really the way things are happening now. But also very interesting is the pumped hydro storage, in which basically you really use the solar energy to pump up water to a reservoir at a higher level and then use it in the evenings and nights as a hydro electricity generation. So solar plus storage is going to be really the way to move ahead, and we are increasingly seeing this. Many of the solar tenders which are coming out are now integrated solar plus storage. There's another problem which we've been seeing, another challenge, and that is the long-term reliability of solar panels. And it turns out that the harsh climates of India, hot and humid, really means that you have to have specific solar panels which are certified to operate, engineered and certified to work in our harsh climates. And our work has shown that in the hot climates, our modules degrade much faster, and that's a challenge which we have to meet. Incidentally, we have suggested, and finally that's been accepted by the IEC, standard for hot climates, and we recommend that not only should India be using this, but actually this will be applicable to many other tropical countries which are obviously also installing solar. So that's for the deployment. What about the manufacturing? Challenges for manufacturing, also very significant challenges, and one of the most important is that the cell technologies continue to change. There's a continuous development of the technology, and we need to be abreast of all of this, and that obviously that implies that we have to continue with R&D. Very often one thinks of solar, one thinks that it's a solved problem in terms of the science and technology, but that's far from true. We are really continue to develop rapidly, and I'll give you some examples of that. Not only in the cells, but also in the, we need, silver is an important component, so that we have to worry about that. Cell sizes keep increasing. Of course, you have to go beyond or further upstream than the cells, and that is look at the ingots and the wafers and the polysilicon also. By the way, I'm talking about silicon, but silicon is the mainstream. Perovskites are coming up, and that's something which we should be looking at also, and especially for the perovskite on silicon tandem solar cells, which is a way to get to much higher efficiencies. I am stressing this because I do feel that R&D for solar manufacturing is going to be one of the major challenges for our manufacturing industry to really continue to be at the forefront. I'll just mention, for example, just in the last few months, silicon solar PV technologies have shown 3 record efficiencies, all coming within a few months of each other. We are, by the way, today operating at about 28%, which is very close to the Shockley limit of 29%. So we're close to that efficiency, but there is a potential of bringing the cost down quite significantly, and we need to continue research on that. Of course, look at the perovskite silicon tandem cells, which can go up to 35 and beyond, actually going up to 40% possibly. And I do feel that we need a national mission, something like the National Quantum Mission, where we have many academic institutions working together with industry. And really, I would suggest a collaborative consortium-based R&D activity to really make sure that we continue with the R&D, and its base is really aimed at manufacturing, so that our manufacturing continues to be abreast of the global technologies. And really, we need to grasp this opportunity. We've reached a point where India can really become a leading player, global player and exporter for solar components. And really, the rest of the world, many other countries in the world are looking at India to emerge as a second source to solar of solar components, second, of course, to China. Of course, we must worry a little bit about the cost of manufacturing, but this is a study which was done a couple of years ago, which shows that India is probably the only place which can compete with China and Southeast Asia. And we've also done some similar studies, which again, the results are quite similar. And of course, I should mention that United States and Europe, both of them, things which have happened since 2024, are making it much less likely that they are going to be major players in the solar manufacturing area. So India is really is the only major competitor to China and Southeast Asia, of course. But Southeast Asia, anyway, is very similar to China. And we can really emerge as a major global player here. So to conclude, first of all, of course, we must celebrate our 50th anniversary of solar energy in India. And we've done very well, and we are already the second largest installer, and we will emerge, I'm pretty sure, as the second largest manufacturer of solar components. We will meet one of the few countries to meet our COP26 targets, and we'll probably also meet the NDCs which have been announced, that's 60% by 2035. Challenges do remain. We must tackle those challenges. Countries worldwide are looking for a second source for solar components, and this is our opportunity to really take that opportunity, our opportunity to really become a major solar country, not only in terms of deployment, where our know-how can be shared with other countries, but also as a major manufacturing company, an exporter, where our components are going out to most other countries, many other countries of the world. So finally, I just want to acknowledge, of course, I've had discussions with many of my colleagues and students at NCPRE, at IIT Bombay. And also I must acknowledge that the MNRE has funded us continuously from 2010. So with these optimistic notes, I'll conclude my talk. Thank you.
प्रोफेसर वासी, आपके इस जानकारीपूर्ण और रोचक व्याख्यान के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। कुछ ही क्षणों में हमारे बीच माननीय मंत्री जी आने वाले हैं।
तब तक हमारा एक वीडियो है जो आप देख सकते हैं।
In 1971, India took a step to place science and technology at the center of its development story. Over time, that step grew, linking laboratories, universities, and industry, and endeavored to shape the country's scientific capability. In the past decade, the pace has changed. With stronger direction and deeper investment, science has moved closer to the core of national progress under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister.
जब साइंस को स्केल मिलती है, जब इनोवेशन इंक्लूसिव बनती है और जब टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाती है, तो बड़ी उपलब्धियों की नींव मजबूत होती है, तैयार हो जाती है। पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में भारत की यात्रा इसी विजन का उदाहरण है। भारत अब टेक्नोलॉजी का कंज्यूमर नहीं, बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जरिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का पायोनियर बन चुका है।
The shift can be seen in how India now stands globally. More active, more engaged, more confident. One of the recent developments is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Brought into effect in 2024, it introduces a more coordinated approach to research, linking funding, institutions, and outcomes with greater clarity. The response has been wide-ranging, from early career researchers to large mission-led programs, reflecting both scale and interest across disciplines. What this creates is a system where ideas are supported, strengthened, and carried forward towards meaningful outcomes. Extending this continuum is the Research, Development and Innovation Scheme. With a long-term financial commitment, it focuses on building a stronger innovation ecosystem by encouraging private sector participation in research and development. By supporting scale, enabling partnerships, and easing the path to industry, it helps bridge a critical gap between research and real-world application. At the same time, India's engagement with emerging technologies is being shaped through focused national missions. The National Quantum Mission is building capabilities in quantum computing, communication, sensing, and advanced materials with dedicated thematic hubs across leading institutions, bringing together researchers, startups, and industry to drive next-generation innovation. The National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems is enabling innovation ecosystems in cyber-physical technologies with initiatives like Bharat Gen, shaping India's own multilingual and inclusive AI future. The National Supercomputing Mission, implemented with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is expanding high-performance computing infrastructure across the country to support advanced research at scale. Climate-focused missions, including the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, are strengthening India's scientific understanding and resilience. DST is strengthening research infrastructure across institutions in India through key programs helping institutes, enhancing access to advanced facilities, and enabling cutting-edge scientific research. Alongside this, initiatives such as Inspire and Inspire MoS are drawing young people into science early. In a recent episode of Man Ki Baat, the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted the Inspire MoS initiative, noting its role in nurturing a spirit of inquiry among students. Vice Kiran is increasing participation of women in science and technology, while also encouraging and supporting them to take up leadership roles. The department is also advancing geospatial capabilities through the National Geospatial Policy 2022. DST is promoting science and technology-led entrepreneurship through the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, NIDHI, which is now expanding into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Through community-focused programs, DST is strengthening livelihoods, enabling local innovation, and supporting emerging industries. At another level, policy frameworks, state initiatives, and data systems are guiding decisions, while strong standards ensure quality and reliability across scientific work. Much of this work now connects with a wider global effort, bilateral and multilateral collaborations, and participation in global mega-science projects. 56 years on, the department reflects a journey defined by steady progress, evolving with new technologies, expanding capabilities, and rising aspirations. What lies ahead builds on this foundation, where research, innovation, and application move forward together, shaping solutions for a changing world. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047,
all are requested to kindly keep their mobiles on silent as Minister Sir is arriving. All are requested to stand up. I invite all the dignitaries to kindly join us on stage.
Likewise, thank you so much.
आज के इस गरिमामय उद्घाटन समारोह में हमारे लिए अत्यंत गौरव और सौभाग्य का विषय है कि हमारे साथ हमारे मुख्य अतिथि माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी उपस्थित हैं। माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी मंत्रालय, पृथ्वी विज्ञान मंत्रालय, प्रधानमंत्री कार्यालय तथा कार्मिक, लोक शिकायत एवं पेंशन मंत्रालय का कार्यभार संभाल रहे हैं। हम उनका हार्दिक अभिनंदन एवं सादर स्वागत करते हैं। माननीय मंत्री जी का दूरदर्शी नेतृत्व, नवाचार और प्रोत्साहन को देने वाली सोच और राष्ट्र निर्माण के प्रति उनका अटूट संकल्प देश में वैज्ञानिक प्रगति को एक नई दिशा प्रदान कर रहा है। उनके मार्गदर्शन में भारत विज्ञान अनुसंधान और तकनीकी विकास के क्षेत्र में निरंतर नए कीर्तिमान स्थापित कर रहा है तथा युवा वैज्ञानिकों और नीति निर्माताओं की एक सशक्त पीढ़ी को आकार दे रहा है। उनकी प्रेरक उपस्थिति आज इस समारोह की गरिमा को और भी बढ़ा रही है। लाइटनिंग ऑफ लैंप, दीप प्रज्वलन का यह पावन क्षण केवल एक औपचारिक परंपरा नहीं बल्कि ज्ञान, आशा और प्रगति के नव आरंभ का प्रतीक है। अज्ञान के अंधकार में जब दिशाएं धुंधली प्रतीत होती हैं तब यह दीप केवल प्रकाश नहीं देता बल्कि विचारों और दिशा को और चेतना को नया आलोक प्रदान करता है। शुभारंभ के इस पावन अवसर पर मैं मंच पर उपस्थित सभी गणमान्य अतिथियों को दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए सादर आमंत्रित करता हूँ।
honored to have with us our guest of honor, Padma Shri Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. We welcome you, sirs. It is said that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And so, with the blessings of the Goddess of Knowledge, we would now like to extend a formal welcome to our distinguished guests with small tokens of our appreciations. I would like to request Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary DST, to kindly felicitate our esteemed Chief Guest, Honorable Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, with a small token of our gratitude and respect. Thank you, sir. I would now request Shri Sunil Kumar, Additional Secretary DST, to kindly felicitate Padma Shri Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, with a small token of our appreciation and respect. Thank you, sir. I would now request Ms. Yatinder Prasad, ASNFA DST, to felicitate Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary DST, with a token of our thanks and respect. Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Madam A. Dhanalakshmi, Joint Secretary Administration, to honor our distinguished guest, Padma Shri Professor Juzair Vasi, with a gesture of our gratitude and respect. Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Shri Sanjay Kumar, Joint Secretary, SMP Division, to felicitate our keynote speaker, Professor Urvashi Sinha, with a small token of our respect and appreciation. Thank you, sir. Today, on this momentous occasion of the 56th Foundation Day of the Department of Science and Technology, it is our great honor to announce the release of the Stuti Compendium, marking a significant step in strengthening India's research ecosystem through capacity building and shared scientific infrastructure. DST Stuti program represents a powerful idea that, along with the existence of infrastructure, it should be accessible, shared, and impactful. The DST Stuti stands out for its inclusive and interdisciplinary reach, connecting institutions across the country and enabling access to advanced R&D facilities for everyone, from school students to researchers and industry professionals. It has transformed national facilities into dynamic hubs of training, collaboration, and innovation. In a short span of 1 year, the impact has been remarkable. 248 training programs and 132 awareness programs were conducted through Stuti. The program trained over 8,500 researchers and reached more than 12,000 participants, surpassing expectations with strong involvement across disciplines and encouraging gender balance. At this remarkable moment, I warmly invite all the dignitaries and Dr. Pratishta Pandey, along with the officials of R&D Infrastructure Division, to join us on stage for the formal release of the Stuti Compendium, a true celebration of collaboration, capability, and India's scientific excellence.
अब हम कार्यक्रम को एक नई ऊर्जा के साथ आगे बढ़ाते हुए अपने विशिष्ट अतिथि प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद का हार्दिक एवं गौरवपूर्ण स्वागत करते हैं। प्रोफेसर सूद भारत सरकार के प्रधान वैज्ञानिक सलाहकार के रूप में देश की वैज्ञानिक प्रगति को एक नई दिशा और दृष्टि प्रदान कर रहे हैं। प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद अप्रैल 2022 से भारत सरकार के प्रधान वैज्ञानिक सलाहकार हैं। वे प्रधानमंत्री की विज्ञान, प्रौद्योगिकी और नवाचार सलाहकार परिषद के अध्यक्ष भी हैं। प्रोफेसर सूद के शोध के मुख्य विषय क्वांटम पदार्थों, सॉफ्ट और एक्टिव मैटर की भौतिकी है। उन्होंने पीयर रिव्यू वाली पत्रिकाओं में 450 से अधिक शोध पत्र प्रकाशित किए हैं और उनके नाम कई पेटेंट भी दर्ज हैं। उनके कार्यों को कई पुरस्कारों से सम्मानित किया गया है, जिनमें भारत का चौथा सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान पद्मश्री भी शामिल है। अब मैं प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद को आमंत्रित करूंगा कि वे मंच पर आएं और हमें ज्ञानवर्धित करें। प्रोफेसर सूद।
Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Professor Vasi, Professor Urvashi Sinha, the entire DST fraternity here, all the directors of DST institutes, ANRF fraternity, academy members, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed very happy to join all of you in this DST Foundation Day. Now we all know that Department of Science and Technology occupies a very unique and unparalleled position in India's national architecture of progress. On a personal note, I have been associated with DST right from 1988 when I moved from Indira Gandhi Center for Atomic Research, Kalpakkam, to 2 empty rooms in Indian Institute of Science Physics Department. So I had a big task of making my labs, starting the group and so on, coming from a lab in atomic energy which was extremely well furnished. And it is only DST which really helped me and many others like me to start a program and come to this stage. So I have a very special connection to DST. Also in the last 4 years after coming to Delhi, very deeply associated with DST in various programs like National Quantum Mission, Cyber Physical System, launching of ANRF right in 2023 and more recently in the RDI fund. So this is a very special occasion, and also this is the occasion where I want to wish Professor Abhay Karandikar all the very best in his second innings. He had a very successful first innings, which is why he is here. No, for Delhi it is second. Delhi it is second. Of course, Kanpur, obviously. So I wish Abhay all the very best when he takes over member Niti Aayog full time, and we really look forward to many more path-breaking contributions from him, the way he did in DST. So congratulations, Abhay, once again. So we all know that unlike sector-specific agencies, DST spans across disciplines, bridging fundamental sciences, engineering, medicine, environment, and all the frontier technologies. So this breadth has enabled DST to act not merely as a funding body, but as a strategic driver of India's science and technology goals. Now the outcomes of DST programs we all know have resulted in strengthening our S&T ecosystem, enlarging the scientific publication base, patents, trained manpower and institutional capacity. Now these metrics have provided a valuable measure of academic excellence and research productivity. Now, however, now as India has reached this stage and we look forward to the next frontier in taking India's science and technology forward, a time has come to recalibrate our lens. Namely, the outcomes must be judged not only by the knowledge creation but by also their translation into tangible technology development, industrial competitiveness and societal impact. Technology sovereignty demands that India move beyond being a consumer or assembler of global technologies, rather to become a creator of indigenous solutions and do science and technology at the highest level. This requires, as we all know, a life cycle approach where research leads seamlessly into translational work, product development and eventual market deployment. DST has already seeded this continuum by supporting startups by various schemes, incubators and translational research centers. But the next phase must explicitly align research funding with pathways to commercialization, ensuring that ideas do not remain confined to laboratories but evolve into products. The National Quantum Mission, which I just referred a few seconds back, is a prime example. This is a mission where I have been deeply associated right from the time when it was being conceptualized. This mission not only is about advancing quantum science, but also about building a skilled workforce, developing indigenous quantum hardware and nurturing startups that can bring quantum enabled solutions across the sectors. So the recent meeting on Quantum Conclave in IIT Bombay almost a month back to take stock of where we stand was really very, very inspiring, where all the 4 quantum hubs and the startups, they were showing what they have done in 1 year. So this is indeed a great way to really take science and technology right from basic science to the technology continuum, and the National Quantum Mission really exemplifies that. Other example which again I have seen in the last 4 years is the Cyber Physical System Mission, which again integrates this artificial intelligence, robotics and IoT into India's innovation ecosystem. And again, a large number of startups, very successful startups, successful technologies have come forward. So again, a very, very nice example for all of us to follow. Now, another place where DST is deeply connected to science and technology ecosystem is the international engagement. Over the years, DST has forged collaborations with leading science agencies across many countries. Of course, INSA also has a small part in that, in the international engagement, and also in the mega science projects like the sun and the LIGO, where DST has played a very, very important role in bridging the gap between Indian science and the international science. Now we need to see what we need to take forward in the international collaboration. Now, as the global landscape shifts, the objective of these international engagements must evolve from what it is right now. That's the way I feel. No longer should international collaboration be seen merely as a means of accessing knowledge. India, of course, must position itself as a proactive contributor offering unique strength to the world, because now the landscape is changing across the world and India has to play a leadership role in these international collaborations. So we need to be very proactive in seeking what collaborations we want and what collaborations we do not want. It is a time to revisit for DST to realign their international engagements with a new lens. India, of course, offers many things. India's scale and diversity provide unparalleled opportunities for testing and deploying technologies in real world conditions. And of course, our wonderful human resource, the STEM education, a very large number of STEM graduates, almost 2.8 million STEM graduates coming every year out, and also our evolving ecosystem in science and technology offers a great opportunity for international collaboration. Of course, we also need to resonate with Global South. The international collaboration with Global South countries have to be taken more seriously than before, because this is where our leadership role will be needed, and I think again DST can play a very, very important role. Finally, India's democratic ethos and commitment to open science position makes a very trusted partner for global knowledge sharing. Now, I think as I was mentioning, India has a unique bridge between Global South and North, and this we must be leveraged more strategically. And this is again where DST, I am very sure, will play a very important role in coming years, because the world faces many challenges. For example, pollution, heat stress, biodiversity loss, pandemics, and so on. And this is again where the S&T collaboration with the right partners, which DST does, could be a very important platform. So I think this requires reimagining partnerships, not as bilateral exchanges, which is probably the case right now, but as a multilateral ecosystem where India's voice helps to set priorities. In the end, I will come to the autonomous institutes, which are almost 17 or 18 under DST, which were reviewed by an external committee very recently, almost less than a month back. We had the final meeting with Dr. Vinod Paul as the chair, and I had the privilege to be a member of this committee and listen to the wonderful work which is being done by these autonomous institutes. These institutes, needless to say, are doing well by themselves on different metrics. Now I feel, and we've all felt, a time has come when some significant outcome-based projects of national importance can be taken with these AI institutes of DST, because these AI institutes are not like the university departments. They are really the national labs where they need to work together to set to take forward the national priorities forward. So in the end, I congratulate once again the DST on this Foundation Day. This is a day not only celebration of past achievements, but a call to action for the future. So DST, we all know, has always been the architects of India's scientific aspirations, and now it must become the engine of India's technological sovereignty. In doing so, it will not only fulfill national goals, but also contribute to global priorities, ensuring that science and technology remain instruments of equity, resilience, and shared progress. Thank you very much for having me here, and congratulations once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful as well as encouraging words for our department. Science and technology are definitely the engines of economic growth and the social change. So now I request our Secretary Sir, Professor Abhay Karandikar, to kindly come on the podium and welcome our chief guest, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji.
Thank you very much. I was not supposed to speak, so but let me take this opportunity. Honorable Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, respected Principal Scientific Advisor Professor Sood, Professor Juzer Vasi, Professor Urvashi Sinha, all my colleagues in DST, autonomous institutions, ANRF. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Honorable Minister, Professor Sood, Professor Vasi, Professor Urvashi, and all other colleagues, and my warm greetings to all of you on the 56th Foundation Day. As Professor Sood mentioned, it has been indeed a privilege and honor that during this period of close to sort of 3 years, I was involved in operationalizing the 3 most transformative initiatives of the Government of India. That is Anusandhan National Research Foundation, ANRF. When I joined DST, ANRF was at a stage when it was just approved by the Parliament. It was not even notified. And from there to making the rules, regulation, notification, appointing the new CEO, Dr. Shivkumar, and launching the few initial programs, conducting the first governing board meeting of ANRF under Honorable Prime Minister. That was indeed a very, very rewarding experience. The second most transformative initiatives was the National Quantum Mission, which as both Professor Sood and Professor Urvashi mentioned, has been in the recent times one of the most important initiatives, which is emphasizing not just the basic research in 4 verticals of quantum technologies, but also taking the research from lab to developing the products and technologies, including supporting startups. And it was also the first mission, as the chairman of the Mission Technology Research Council, Professor Sood, mentioned all the time, that this mission is not going to be usual DST programs which are just single PI driven or multiple PI driven, but it is going to be, and I think he emphasized this word, that it is a mission. Although the mission was loosely used by DST in various other programs, including nanoscience missions, etc. But it is to be really done in a mission mode, in a collaborative fashions, with 14 technical groups spread across 4 hubs and 43 institutions to work together to develop products and technologies which are global scale. So when I joined DST, it was at a stage where Union Cabinet had approved some 6 months back, but nothing much has been done when I joined. And then constituting the Mission Governing Board, the MTRC, launching the call for proposals, setting up the 4 hubs, and releasing the funding amounts. Again, I feel truly satisfied in a way which has now empowered several other quantum technologies, like one sitting here, Urvashi, and several others. And I hope that the mission will make an impact in the coming years. The third one, fortunately, I was involved even in the conceptual stage. In ANRF and Quantum Mission, I was not involved in the conceptual stage, but more in its operation stage. But the 1 lakh crore RDI fund, I was definitely involved in the conception stage as well. And finally took it to a stage where it is now, being operationalized. So it has been really a rewarding and greatly satisfying experience for me. And I'm sure that these 3 missions, along with several other countless programs of DST, which have been already doing in the last, several years, will not only make an impact on the national scientific ecosystem, but also achieving the technological sovereignty, achieving the strategic autonomy, and eventually contributing to the economic growth of the country in terms of frontier technologies. It has been that way, usually satisfying experience of all these years, and I'm confident that the talent and the potential that exists in the Department of Science and Technology, its autonomous institutions, its scientists, its officers, that the path ahead is very bright, and DST will continue to play not just an important role, but a very defining role in architecting the future innovation ecosystem of the country. So I would like to take once again this opportunity of thanking all of you. I would also like to thank the Honorable Minister, with whom I have had an extremely enjoyable, rewarding, and deeply satisfying experience all these years, and for having trust in me, for letting me do like the things that we wanted to do it our way. And this can be the biggest thing that a minister can give to a secretary. Finally, once again, also the Government of India, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, for having continued trust in me, for giving me an opportunity to play even on a wider canvas when I take over as the member of Niti Aayog. So thank you, all the best. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your words. It is my immense honor to invite our chief guest, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, to address this august assembly and share his vision for India's future in science and technology. With a resounding applause, sir, please take the podium.
Incidentally, I am speaking after the farewell speech has been delivered by Abhay. But we are not letting him go that easily. So on the dais, Professor Sood, Professor Abhay, Professor Vasi, Professor Sinha, all the members of fraternity. While we celebrate the 56th Foundation Day of DST, it's also a pleasant coincidence. And I think one thing which is vindicated by the two gentlemen sitting on the two sides of me is that it explores the myth that scientists are capable of only handling the labs. So we who belong to this fraternity of science, because since we are scientists and researchers, we can create for ourselves and mold ourselves into the role given. So you have Professor Sood, who transited from a scientist to a teacher to an advisor, and you have Professor Abhay, from a teacher to administrator to a policy maker. So, and this is possible only when you have a mind which is creative, which is innovative, and that precisely makes a successful scientist as well. So I think there's a scientific explanation to the success of these two gentlemen. And of course I have to compliment Professor Sood for his another term, and Abhay for being there in the Niti Aayog. And I think one advantage that we would have is that since he knows the DST very well, ins and out, he'll be able to resolve many of the issues and also bend the policies accordingly. So as Professor Sood was mentioning, India has now graduated to a different level over the years. And I have no hesitation to say that much of this evolution has happened over the last 1 decade. Professor Abhay was saying that I, as a minister, was generous in letting him do what he did and also what he undid because he abolished quite a few institutes. But I would rather say that this is possible only if you have a supportive political dispensation. And since as scientists we've been taught not to speak without evidence, I'll just give you two evidence. Could we ever think of a prime minister who would allow us to open the nuclear program to private sector? And we are one of the very few countries who've done so, maybe France and few other countries. And there was no demand, no pressure, no suggestion. In fact, the common masses, even those working in the Department of Atomic Energy had reconciled that, look here, this is how it happens. You have to work behind a veil of secrecy. So also space. Space, that was our first experience, opening to the private players, and certain sections of media, they very joyously mentioned unlocking of space. But I think this has also been possible because of the realization on the part of the political dispensation, more so on the part of the Prime Minister. And we could also explain to him. In fact, when the biotech policy happened, there were about 6 or 7 presentations made by Rajesh personally before the Honorable Prime Minister, and I was also accompanying a few of them till he could convince, and then he convinced the other members of the cabinet. So this was a realization which we could convey successfully, that look here, if we have to move from here on, we have to have an integrated approach. No government in any part of the country can support science research by keeping itself aloof from the private sector or the industry, as Professor Sood was also mentioning. And our human resource was in abundance. Can you imagine how with what a foresight, Homi Bhabha, when he took up the nuclear program, and there was criticism all around it, all over the world, because Hiroshima and Nagasaki had just happened, that maybe India was clandestinely planning an atom bomb or so. But how, with God, what a great foresight he gave us, that 3-stage program, realizing that we would not be able to evolve. And I think that is one of the best models for any new initiator into nuclear program. Any nation which has abundant human resource, but not much of material resource. Because we didn't have much of uranium, we didn't have other sources. We had thorium, which was not extractable easily. So our human resource was always in abundance. Take whatever domain that we have. Even the domain that I come from, today is Bengal's day, Dr. B.C. Roy. When Gandhi was on fast and the Surgeon General, because the DGHS of today was known as Surgeon General, was asked to send the report to the PMO, which was headed by Winston Churchill. He said, look here, I want to get an opinion from Dr. B.C. Roy. So all the way it was sent to Calcutta. So what I'm trying to say is that what we lacked was non-human resource. And that is now sought to be made up by the new approach that the government has acquired in the last 5-7 years. And as I say, we don't talk without evidence. You see the miraculous transformation that has happened just in about 5-6 years. Of course, as far as nuclear energy is concerned, we are yet to roll out the rules. But space, just 5 years back, we opened up to the private sector. Today, one of our startups is going to be unicorn, maybe before the end of this year. Yesterday, another startup group launched that SAR satellite, the first of its kind. An enormous contribution to the country's defense and disaster preparedness, and at the same time generating economy. We were just a dismal economy. Today we are about $9 billion, and projection is so far that it will be 40, 45. So we have now started moving in that direction, and as Professor Sood was hinting, the translation part and also collaborating in a wider scale without any inhibition, as it happened just now. For actually 8-10 years, we were not receiving much of collaboration offers from other countries, but now this Shanti Act will pave the way for that as well. And in 10 years itself, we have gone up to, we started off with just about 350, 400 startups. And today we are more than 2 lakh. Now, in any sphere you see, the Global Innovation Index, the number of publications, I'm not getting into all that. Now, again, because a common refrain was, if you are rank 3 in publications, तो क्या हुआ? You don't have standard publications. And we were receiving this refrain from many other nations. So, in fact, last month only I was working out the data. In 2025, out of the first 100 most cited or quoted references, 10% were from India. It's not that we are writing for each other and making each other read. So we have now entered into a global frame, and the advantage that DST has compared to other departments that it is into every department. You can intrude into anywhere. So the others reach out to you. Now we talk of interdisciplinary, interministerial, but even when this was not talked about, other departments spontaneously reach out to you because they have something to look forward from you. And not only within this ministry, you have inroads into education ministry. I think most of the education institutes, the technical institutes, be it the IIT, even the universities, are more keen to be in the good books of the DST rather than their own ministry. Because they find something to earn out of here, some grant, some fund, some scholarship. And that's precisely, I mean, every day, even I pass it on to Professor Abe, 2-3 calls from the Vice Chancellors, this, there. The other day, yesterday also somebody was saying, Baki sabka anusandhan, that grant ho gaya, ek bach gaya hamara student. So I passed it on to him. So Vice Chancellor of an agriculture university calling. So you can see. So you have an advantage, but this advantage can be used as a virtue. As Professor Sood also said, and Dr. Abhay also, your your National Quantum Mission with 4 hubs and 43 institutions spread out across 17 states and 2 union territories. And so we have, and now every state is looking forward to have you. So we have an advantage now, and I think now with and of course the AI mission, now again we have different pillars. Now, though it has been taken over by the mighty, but the knowledge resource is still from here. Same is health. They claim to have done everything, but everything was created in biosciences, biotechnology. So we are the script writers of every success story of other ministry. And that's why the other day I told Rajesh that whenever you are reaching a certain level of your trial, make a big halla out of this and blow your trumpet, beat your drum, because otherwise vaccine is also owned by them. The antibiotic also owned by them, because people like to see the hero and heroine dancing. They don't ask who has written the script. So I said never easily give it to hero or heroine. Before they start dancing, you do your performance. And we have started doing that now. For every trial we hold a small ceremony. And that is not only that because we would be looking forward for publicity, also because the stakeholders should know what we have for them. If I can tell, look here, I have done the trial in Fitromycin, the first ever antibiotic, indigenous antibiotic. That is again what Professor Sood was mentioning. We are now also deep into indigenous research. Earlier on, all the antibiotic salts came from outside. So I should be telling people should know that you care. There's an institute in Faridabad which is doing so that I attract the private partners. And that now, of course, I'm just citing an example, the marketing of that or the manufacturing of that is happening through, again, a Mumbai-based multinational company. But we had to reach out to them to tell them. They were since into pharma, deeply into pharma and were looking for some kind of a fillip because they were not doing so well, though being a very well-known company. But if I keep telling them, then I would start receiving offers even before I reach out. So I think that is what is required, and I'm glad that in the last 5-7 years, we have also done something which was considered a taboo among the scientists. We have started using social media in the same manner as others do. And I compliment Abhay is also quite at home using the LinkedIn and the small reels, because we have to reach out to people in the language they understand and through the means that they access. And our programs have gained a lot of popularity, whether it's the Nidhi, whether it's the Manik, and of course the RDI fund. Now I said RDI fund, we also, though we conducted the outreach programs, but we need to create awareness of what it is all about. Because I found suddenly, because I also have an inquisitive mind to try to learn a new thing every day. Wherever I went, because I traveled about 3-4 states and even the remotest parts, from a small town, almost a village, a lady, one of our workers, almost a half literate village lady, came forward and says कि ये लड़के ने कोई कागज़ देना है, मुझे तो समझ नहीं, आप देखिए. तो मैं कहा भाई क्या है? बोले RDI fund. So that was the question for me to research upon that day. कि इसको क्या लेना देना? And then the answer that I found for myself, rightly or wrongly, was that many people are now looking at it as another cooperative bank. कि एक और citizen bank खोल दिया सरकार ने. So we have to tell them it is T4 level, which Professor Sood is so laboriously, generated the criteria, and then also tell them, not without discouraging them, that this is a part of a larger ecosystem. For the startups or the starters or the beginners, we have some other provisions as well. So I think even these provisions, similarly is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. So I told Dr. Kalyan the very first day, I said, even if you receive a recommendation from me, don't receive it, because you are going to do your first lot. So if the first lot earns disrepute, you will not be able to gain credibility even if you do however much in the later. So I'm glad that has also created a sense of competitiveness. And I think we should be very frank in educating people and also competing, allowing them to. And because what happens is that the mindset is still old. Anybody who comes, I receive, because I have to meet people, I received the other day parents from Tamil Nadu. They said our son has discovered a new satellite, new star. But the people at ISRO are jealous of him. And the mother started crying in my office. So what do? I have to handle them, then educate them without discouraging the boy. So, and I'm sure if we do that, because this is an age of transparency and a free frank, we can create websites. I suggested to Dr. Kalyan for how to file a patent, even how to write a paper. Because those of us who have written theses and dissertations know that, others may not, but they may like to. So I'm glad that he's also launched that. Like for example, in cricket, in Jammu and Kashmir, we were always the losers. This time, I told them, because I had some role in that, I told the committee, I said, no, create a website of each participant and no recommendation. But the mindset took time. The other day I received a call from a very senior person. He said, my son is being done injustice. He's such a good player. He learned from, I don't know, Tendulkar Institute or whatever. So I said, it is late night, just give me, wait till morning, I'll get back to you. Next morning, I got the website. The boy was 105 kg body weight, hardly capable of moving in the crease. I sent that back to the father. He did not, again, follow me or, bother me. He simply responded with folded hands. So you have to make the youngsters realize about their capacities. He may not be capable of one thing, he could be capable of other thing. So that also is a role that we have to expect it to play, because now we are more and more dealing. And I'm glad that some of the institutes which have done away with, whether like the TIFAC or the Vigyan Prasar, were actually not required now with the passage of time. For example, now even this technology information forecasting is hardly required, because every department, it must have been relevant at the time when it was conceived. Or so also Vigyan Prasar and other things. We are no longer only confined to the science reporter. The biggest satisfaction came to me, which of course started before Professor Abhay died and later, is the reorganization of Survey of India. And that was the most difficult task, at least I think even in our tenure. And it just happened spontaneously. When I went to Dehradun, I saw when I entered the gate, I was taken aback. So the officiating director, he came to receive me and showed me in. I said, no, I'll sit here, just measure the land. I said, you have an idea? He said, no. So since we are all, I said, no, before we start, you get some measurement done. He got the measurement done in half an hour. It turned out to be 360 acres. I said, what are you doing in this 360 acre? Because it was set up 350 years back. One of the directors was Everest. So in those days, you had to train them with physical dynamics, and you had a lot of, and whichever corridor I went, I would see people not wishing me as you and I do like this. So I said, what is this? He said, sir, they are all army officers. Because they, spontaneously do like this. So I said, what are they doing? He said, this traditionally it is there. So I studied their records. Somebody had joined as a major, then become colonel, then become brigadier, retired from there. It was such an easy job over there. So it was difficult to send them back. There were about 45 senior officers who were sent back, though they protested also, went to the court also. And now we have streamlined it, because now we are using drones, we are using space technology, don't need physical labor, and we are now seeking the help of the Indian Institute of, the Indian Engineering Services. And very recently, we also have taken another, from the point of view of administration, that delegation of global tender inquiry and also purchasing capacity for the directors and the vice chancellors. But when I announced that, I think in one of the programs, I said, let's also spend some time to think why this was debarred from us. Because what is unpleasant to think is that some of us might have committed some misappropriation, which invited this kind of an embargo or capping. So I said, now if we are liberating it, it is being done in good faith, and I'm sure the others will also follow it in the good faith, because it's not pleasant having a senior director or a senior vice chancellor facing an inquiry for misappropriation of whatever. So, but we have been open. Like I said, the spirit of the Modi government, Prime Minister Modi, is to give you the freedom to innovate and to not hold you back from your means. So I'm sure when we get together on the 57th day, we would have moved on from where we are. And Professor Abhay would also be a supportive nucleus for us in the four walls of Niti Aayog. Thank you.
माननीय मंत्री महोदय जी, आपके प्रेरणादायक शब्दों और भारत में विज्ञान एवं नवाचार को आगे बढ़ाने में आपके निरंतर सहयोग के लिए हार्दिक आभार एवं धन्यवाद। अब हम इस समारोह के समापन की ओर बढ़ते हुए मैं मैडम ए धनलक्ष्मी, संयुक्त सचिव से विनम्र अनुरोध करता हूं कि वे मंच पर पधार कर धन्यवाद ज्ञापन प्रस्तुत करें।
Good afternoon, everybody. Respected Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, respected Professor Sood, PSA sir, respected Professor Abhay Karandikar ji, Professor Vajse ji, Professor Urvashi Sinha ji, my dear friends and colleagues of DST, INSA, ANRF, and all the dear friends assembled here. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to thank you all for the wonderful program we have created today. But for all of your guidance and help, we would not have done what we have done today. I would particularly thank our Honorable Minister, sir, for his mentorship, for his kindness, for the trust he enforced on us, and for the guidance he gave at every step. Thank you very much, sir, for the confidence you installed in us and faith you gave to us. Thank you very much, sir. In spite of his busy schedule, he has 2 bilateral meetings and several other meetings lined up today. He had to adjust his program to our timings. Thank you particularly for that, sir. It was indeed a great help for us. And I would thank our PSA, sir, for his silent mentorship he has been always giving us. In every program, always we have a guiding force from him. And you have been our pillar of strength and guidance, sir. Thank you very much. And I would thank Professor Abhay Karandikar, sir, for the enlightening leadership he has shown to us for the past 2 years and 8 months. He was always a guiding factor, and most of us tried to aspire and imitate his leadership style. But I don't know, most of us never reached there. But we will continue to aspire and imitate your leadership style, sir. Thank you very much for the faith and confidence you instilled in us. Thank you very much for the exemplary leadership you have shown to us, sir. Thank you very much. I hope you keep guiding us and leading us in the next few years also. Thank you very much, sir. And I would thank Professor Vase. He was the only person in my 3 years experience who immediately agreed to deliver our Foundation Day lecture, because I have a experience of requesting several people and then finally reaching one person. He has immediately agreed. Thank you very much, sir. It was a very inspiring talk on our solar photovoltaic cell journey, and all of us got more information about these things. Thank you very much. And I would thank Professor Urvashi Sinha for an enlightening speech on the quantum mechanics. Though it's a very complicated thing, you have tried your best to explain it in a very user-friendly manner, and thank you very much. We all received the content of your speech in a very cordial environment. Thank you very much, all the DST officials from admin, accounts, from autonomous institutions, the heads of autonomous institutions. Thank you very much for coming all the way from various parts of the country to encourage us and to show your solidarity to us. I would thank INSA for all the support they have given for the logistic arrangements which they have made. And I would thank each and, because of paucity of time, I am not going to drag it much. But though I don't mention by name, I am thankful to all of you, because without all of you, this program would not have been what it is now. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू मैम। कृपया सभी से विनम्र निवेदन है कि वे अपने स्थान पर राष्ट्रीय गान के लिए खड़े हो जाएं।
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Jai Hind. It is my honor and privilege to extend our deepest gratitude on behalf of the Department of Science and Technology to all our esteemed guests and dignitaries for taking their precious time to celebrate the 56th Foundation Day with us.
आइए हम आपको एक स्वादिष्ट और आनंदमय भोजन के लिए आमंत्रित करते हैं। आप इस समय का उपयोग आपसी परिचय, संवाद और नेटवर्किंग के लिए भी कर सकते हैं। भोजन अवकाश के बाद सत्र पुनः ठीक 2:30 बजे पैनल डिस्कशन ऑन स्ट्रेंथनिंग ऑफ DST AI लिंकेजेस पर होगा, जिसका आयोजन इंसा ऑडिटोरियम में किया जाएगा। आप लोगों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
In 1971, India took a step to place science and technology at the center of its development story. Over time, that step grew, linking laboratories, universities, and industry, and endeavored to shape the country's scientific capability. In the past decade, the pace has changed. With stronger direction and deeper investment, science has moved closer to the core of national progress under the leadership of the Hon'ble Prime Minister.
जब साइंस को स्केल मिलती है, जब इनोवेशन इंक्लूसिव बनती है और जब टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाती है, तो बड़ी उपलब्धियों की नींव मजबूत होती है, तैयार हो जाती है। पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में भारत की यात्रा इसी विजन का उदाहरण है। भारत अब टेक्नोलॉजी का कंज्यूमर नहीं, बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जरिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का पायोनियर बन चुका है।
The shift can be seen in how India now stands globally. More active, more engaged, more confident. One of the recent developments is the Hon'ble National Research Foundation. Brought into effect in 2024, it introduces a more coordinated approach to research, linking funding, institutions, and outcomes with greater clarity. The response has been wide-ranging, from early career researchers to large mission-led programs, reflecting both scale and interest across disciplines. What this creates is a system where ideas are supported, strengthened, and carried forward towards meaningful outcomes. Extending this continuum is the Research, Development and Innovation Scheme. With a long-term financial commitment, it focuses on building a stronger innovation ecosystem by encouraging private sector participation in research and development. By supporting scale, enabling partnerships, and easing the path to industry, it helps bridge a critical gap between research and real-world application. At the same time, India's engagement with emerging technologies is being shaped through focused national missions. The National Quantum Mission is building capabilities in quantum computing, communication, sensing, and advanced materials with dedicated thematic hubs across leading institutions, bringing together researchers, startups, and industry to drive next-generation innovation. The National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems is enabling innovation ecosystems in cyber-physical technologies with initiatives like Bharat Gen, shaping India's own multilingual and inclusive AI future. The National Supercomputing Mission, implemented with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is expanding high-performance computing infrastructure across the country to support advanced research at scale. Climate-focused missions, including the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, are strengthening India's scientific understanding and resilience. DST is strengthening research infrastructure across institutions in India through key programs helping institutes, enhancing access to advanced facilities, and enabling cutting-edge scientific research. Alongside this, initiatives such as Inspire and Inspire MoS are drawing young people into science early. In a recent episode of Mann Ki Baat, the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted the Inspire MoS initiative, noting its role in nurturing a spirit of inquiry among students. Vice Kiran is increasing participation of women in science and technology, while also encouraging and supporting them to take up leadership roles. The department is also advancing geospatial capabilities through the National Geospatial Policy 2022. DST is promoting science and technology-led entrepreneurship through the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, NIDHI, which is now expanding into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Through community-focused programs, DST is strengthening livelihoods, enabling local innovation, and supporting emerging industries. At another level, policy frameworks, state initiatives, and data systems are guiding decisions, while strong standards ensure quality and reliability across scientific work. Much of this work now connects with a wider global effort, bilateral and multilateral collaborations, and participation in global mega-science projects. 56 years on, the department reflects a journey defined by steady progress, evolving with new technologies, expanding capabilities, and rising aspirations. What lies ahead builds on this foundation, where research, innovation, and application move forward together, shaping solutions for a changing world. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, science and technology will continue to power this journey, driving progress, strengthening self-reliance, and opening new possibilities for generations to come. In 1971, India took a step to place science and technology at the center of its development story. Over time, that step grew, linking laboratories, universities, and industry, and endeavored to shape the country's scientific capability. In the past decade, the pace has changed. With stronger direction and deeper investment, science has moved closer to the core of national progress under the leadership of the Hon'ble Prime Minister.
जब साइंस को स्केल मिलती है, जब इनोवेशन इंक्लूसिव बनती है और जब टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाती है, तो बड़ी उपलब्धियों की नींव मजबूत होती है, तैयार हो जाती है। पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में भारत की यात्रा इसी विजन का उदाहरण है। भारत अब टेक्नोलॉजी का कंज्यूमर नहीं, बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जरिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का पायोनियर बन चुका है।
The shift can be seen in how India now stands globally. More active, more engaged, more confident. One of the recent developments is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Brought into effect in 2024, it introduces a more coordinated approach to research, linking funding, institutions, and outcomes with greater clarity. The response has been wide-ranging, from early career researchers to large mission-led programs, reflecting both scale and interest across disciplines. What this creates is a system where ideas are supported, strengthened, and carried forward towards meaningful outcomes. Extending this continuum is the Research, Development, and Innovation Scheme. With a long-term financial commitment, it focuses on building a stronger innovation ecosystem by encouraging private sector participation in research and development. By supporting scale, enabling partnerships, and easing the path to industry, it helps bridge a critical gap between research and real-world application. At the same time, India's engagement with emerging technologies is being shaped through focused national missions. The National Quantum Mission is building capabilities in quantum computing, communication, sensing, and advanced materials with dedicated thematic hubs across leading institutions, bringing together researchers, startups, and industry to drive next-generation innovation. The National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems is enabling innovation ecosystems in cyber-physical technologies with initiatives like Bharat Gen, shaping India's own multilingual and inclusive AI future. The National Supercomputing Mission, implemented with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is expanding high-performance computing infrastructure across the country to support advanced research at scale. Climate-focused missions, including the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, are strengthening India's scientific understanding and resilience. DST is strengthening research infrastructure across institutions in India through key programs helping institutes, enhancing access to advanced facilities, and enabling cutting-edge scientific research. Alongside this, initiatives such as Inspire and Inspire MoS are drawing young people into science early. In a recent episode of Mann Ki Baat, the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted the Inspire MoS initiative, noting its role in nurturing a spirit of inquiry among students. Vice Kiran is increasing participation of women in science and technology, while also encouraging and supporting them to take up leadership roles. The department is also advancing geospatial capabilities through the National Geospatial Policy 2022. DST is promoting science and technology-led entrepreneurship through the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, NIDHI, which is now expanding into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Through community-focused programs, DST is strengthening livelihoods, enabling local innovation, and supporting emerging industries. At another level, policy frameworks, state initiatives, and data systems are guiding decisions, while strong standards ensure quality and reliability across scientific work. Much of this work now connects with a wider global effort, bilateral and multilateral collaborations, and participation in global mega-science projects. 56 years on, the department reflects a journey defined by steady progress, evolving with new technologies, expanding capabilities, and rising aspirations. What lies ahead builds on this foundation, where research, innovation, and application move forward together, shaping solutions for a changing world. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, science and technology will continue to power this journey, driving progress, strengthening self-reliance, and opening new possibilities for generations to come. In 1971, India took a step to place science and technology at the center of its development story. Over time, that step grew, linking laboratories, universities, and industry, and endeavored to shape the country's scientific capability. In the past decade, the pace has changed. With stronger direction and deeper investment, science has moved closer to the core of national progress under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister.
जब साइंस को स्केल मिलती है, जब इनोवेशन इंक्लूसिव बनती है और जब टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाती है, तो बड़ी उपलब्धियों की नींव मजबूत होती है, तैयार हो जाती है। पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में भारत की यात्रा इसी विजन का उदाहरण है। भारत अब टेक्नोलॉजी का कंज्यूमर नहीं, बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जरिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का पायोनियर बन चुका है।
The shift can be seen in how India now stands globally. More active, more engaged, more confident. One of the recent developments is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Brought into effect in 2024, it introduces a more coordinated approach to research, linking funding, institutions, and outcomes with greater clarity. The response has been wide-ranging, from early career researchers to large mission-led programs, reflecting both scale and interest across disciplines. What this creates is a system where ideas are supported, strengthened, and carried forward towards meaningful outcomes. Extending this continuum is the Research, Development, and Innovation Scheme. With a long-term financial commitment, it focuses on building a stronger innovation ecosystem by encouraging private sector participation in research and development. By supporting scale, enabling partnerships, and easing the path to industry, it helps bridge a critical gap between research and real-world application. At the same time, India's engagement with emerging technologies is being shaped through focused national missions. The National Quantum Mission is building capabilities in quantum computing, communication, sensing, and advanced materials with dedicated thematic hubs across leading institutions, bringing together researchers, startups, and industry to drive next-generation innovation. The National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems is enabling innovation ecosystems in cyber-physical technologies with initiatives like Bharat Gen, shaping India's own multilingual and inclusive AI future. The National Supercomputing Mission, implemented with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is expanding high-performance computing infrastructure across the country to support advanced research at scale. Climate-focused missions, including the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, are strengthening India's scientific understanding and resilience. DST is strengthening research infrastructure across institutions in India through key programs helping institutes enhancing access to advanced facilities and enabling cutting-edge scientific research. Alongside this, initiatives such as Inspire and Inspire MoS are drawing young people into science early. In a recent episode of Mann Ki Baat, the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted the Inspire MoS initiative, noting its role in nurturing a spirit of inquiry among students. Vice Kiran is increasing participation of women in science and technology, while also encouraging and supporting them to take up leadership roles. The department is also advancing geospatial capabilities through the National Geospatial Policy 2022. DST is promoting science and technology-led entrepreneurship through the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, NIDHI, which is now expanding into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Through community-focused programs, DST is strengthening livelihoods, enabling local innovation, and supporting emerging industries. At another level, policy frameworks, state initiatives, and data systems are guiding decisions, while strong standards ensure quality and reliability across scientific work. Much of this work now connects with a wider global effort, bilateral and multilateral collaborations, and participation in global mega-science projects. 56 years on, the department reflects a journey defined by steady progress, evolving with new technologies, expanding capabilities, and rising aspirations. What lies ahead builds on this foundation, where research, innovation, and application move forward together, shaping solutions for a changing world. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, science and technology will continue to power this journey, driving